In terms of the average person watching this, they're probably not going to be able to afford a bunch of these cars.
Probably, yeah.
So in my case, I went out and I was like, I need a new car. I'm going to go buy a Tesla Model Y. In about 2 years, I've lost about 60% of the value. So I paid $58,000 all in for a Tesla Model Y. And I don't.
How'd you let him do this?
It's not even. I told him not to. I honestly, I've been for years. Just wait. You don't need it.
But he also has told me not to buy real estate, which I ended up buying. It did well for me. Okay, well, you were wrong last time.
Balances out. Okay, sure.
But for a lot of the people that want to apply this to their own life, obviously don't go out and buy a Tesla Model Y. But if you're around that price range of like, okay, $50,000 to $80,000 to $90,000, $100,000, what cars could they buy that they're going to make money on, or at least won't cost them money to drive?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because one of the things like Freddie says, the frivolous cars, I buy some of these frivolous cars. Like I've spent a lot of money on cars, but in all cases, I've lost less money on cars than you. Right, I got a car that costs $1 million, right?
Don't rub it in my face,
but it's pretty wild to think about, right? Like at the end of the day, that's a pretty crazy thing to think about. Like actually, I try to always think of things. You guys are probably the same way. Try to always think of things from a total cost of ownership perspective. Mm-hmm. Your Model Y is cheap to run. Right? Like you don't put in gas. There's not, oil changes. You don't have any of that stuff.
Write-offs. And like I did the math. And so sure, I could argue that I lost a lot of value, but in actuality, I ended up saving quite a bit of money.
But nonetheless, like depreciation is often overlooked, I think. And so I always caution people whenever and so people think it's crazy that I have cars that cost this much. And meanwhile, they're saying that to me and they have a brand new BMW X7. And I'm sitting here thinking, your car actually costs more. Like when all is said and done, you will have spent more than I have. However, if you want to be in that price point and make some money or at least not lose, I mean, Porsches are really hot right now. And basically any manual transmission Porsche seems to be holding its value. From the 996, 911, which is kind of the redheaded stepchild that are in the $25,000, $30,000 range, all the way up to, 911 turbos and everything. There's a 911 for basically every price flavor. And I know it's not the most practical car, but if you're looking for a third car, as a fun car, you have your family, whatever, the kids are getting older, you want to have something to do on the weekends, that's a pretty easy way. Those are not particularly expensive to own, and they generally at least maintain value. I don't think you're going to see skyrocketing value numbers from any car in the $50,000, $60,000 range, but at least not losing, I think. And that, to me, that's like a huge, huge thing that I see it in my YouTube comments all the time. People are like, how can you say you can't I always talk about, I can't afford this car, that car. People, how can you say you can't afford that? You have a Courier GT. I can't lose $100,000 in depreciation. Like mentally, like it can't happen. And I think more people should be thinking that way.
Yeah, there was a viral Twitter thread that said it was cheaper to own a supercar than a budget car.
Yeah.
And people got so triggered from that. But then people started posting examples of, I bought this Huracan for this price and now it's worth this. I bought this Ferrari for this and this. Or an Audi R8. I bought this and now it's worth $30,000 more than what I paid for.
It takes money to get in there in the first place.
Yes.
And of course, those cars aren't practical. One of the real undercurrents of the whole thing is, what I can't do with my Courier GT, even though I've made
speed bump.
Carry my family, right? Like I still need to have those cars in addition to, so that's harder. But I think that is generally true, especially in the last 10 years. These supercars have been even kind of Huracans, which are not special, and they made a lot of them.
Yeah.
They've been holding their value unbelievably well.
Now, I'm curious because Jack was looking at BMW i8s the other day.
Cheap.
What car could Jack buy and drive for free?
Probably not those, because I think those are still going down.
Okay.
But you could probably buy those and drive cheap. I mean, those are now like
low
what?
40s.
Yeah, like you look at the curve and there's not much curve left. Like the car's never going to be worth 12. So like there's some, but buy and drive for free. I mean, yeah, like I was saying, Porsches for sure. Like I think like 2000s era Porsches, those kind of things are definitely not going down. I think a lot of kind of cars like that, just sort of that analog, if you can stomach doing that, driving a kind of old school, doesn't have CarPlay, has some miles on it kind of car, you can get away with owning some of that stuff pretty cheap.
I would be down to upgrade my fun car right now, which is the Mazda Miata. I've had it for years. It's just had nonstop issues.
Really?
Surprisingly, yeah. Usually they're pretty reliable cars, but mine has just been such a pain in the butt. And so I would be open to upgrading. Graham was trying to convince me of an R8, of an old Gallardo.
Yeah.
And another one was the i8, because that one's pretty inexpensive.
Look incredibly cool. They actually drive better than people say. But it's definitely more of a look car.
I would be concerned about reliability.
Yeah, I would be a little bit concerned about that too. Although we get them submitted to us on Cars and Bids with like real miles, and that's like my proxy. If they come in with real miles, they probably are not that unreliable. But that doesn't mean they won't be in the next 5 years. You know, like it's still technology that is kind of sketch. Gallardos are early Gallardos are thought to be unreliable. I don't share that thought. I know people who've had them and have had pretty good experiences.
Interesting. I heard it was like the second gen.
That's what people say.
2006 on is what I
people
heard.
say.
Yeah.
But the 0405 cars, in my opinion, were like best of breed. It was like that was like the car. Like when I was a kid, that came out when I was 16.
Yeah.
Like that was those wheels, like the Cassiopeia wheels that were on the original, like a yellow Gallardo, like that was the car, you know? Like Lambo had an entry level car, was a huge deal. Like, but most people I know who have had Gallardos have not really had significant issues, and some people have driven a lot. And R8s, everyone I know with an R8 doesn't have problems, and they enjoy it. However, that car is more sanitized for sure. Like when you're in an R8, then you're starting to get a little bit more towards rational cars. And the question is, how rational do you want to go?
But that's what makes it so great, because you could daily it.
You could,
and just drive
but
it.
you will never get you'll never get the same feel as, you know, if you had a Lambo, walking out to your Lambo, you know, or even maybe an i8 because it's so cool looking. The R8 is total, but you know, there's this sort of spectrum of crazy but unusable and totally normal, like a Prius. You know, the R8 starts to get you know, you don't want to go too far on that spectrum if you want something that you actually enjoy.
So what would the argument then be for the single guy watching this who's 30 years old, maybe mid-20s, early mid-30s, to buy a new Camry instead of buying an old cool car that's going to remain in value?
You should buy an Audi R8 from 2009.
Well, that might be slightly different than a Camry price range, but like let's say around like $35,000-$40,000.
I mean, the benefit of the Camry is you can go to any dealer, pick it up. You can go to any place to service it. You can get financed on it, which I think is a lot of the factor here, right? Like it's hard to get financing for some of these supercars. And those cars are cheap to own. Like the oil changes are cheap. These supercars ultimately can be expensive to own. And if things go bad, they can be punishing. If the motor fails in that car, that would be a $300,000+ repair. It's not going to happen with a Camry. The motor won't fail. You get a warranty. You know, it takes a level of sophistication, I think, to go out and actually trade in the supercar world, to know what you're doing, to actually not lose money. You have to kind of know which cars to buy, how to look for them, what to look for in terms of mileage, in terms of, you know, how they've been maintained, that kind of thing. And I think that's kind of what stops that person from doing that. And I like art. I know there are people out there who are making a ton of money on art. I don't know anything about art, so I stay out of it. But I know cars, and so I know that I can at least stay flat or make a little money on cars.
Now, one of the biggest traps with healthy snacks is just how misleading they are. A lot of protein bars, I've noticed, still spike your blood sugar, contain hidden sugars, or contain ingredients you can't even pronounce. And then you're hungry again an hour later. That's why we love the sponsor of this clip, War on Sugar. They make a bar that actually keeps your blood sugar stable, tastes great, and contains ingredients that you recognize.
War on Sugar bars are amazing. They're designed specifically to avoid insulin spikes, and their sweetness comes from monk fruit, which is exactly how they stay sweet without getting that blood sugar response. Plus, they use healthy fats and natural fiber to slow digestion and keep energy steady. And the result is amazing. It's no spike, no crash, and no craving afterwards, just clean, sustained energy that actually lasts.
And the ingredients list is refreshingly simple. No sugar alcohols, no preservatives, no natural flavors. Everything comes from real nuts, real fruits, and real cocoa.
So whether you're watching your blood sugar, eating low carb or keto, traveling or training, or you just need a grab-and-go bar that actually fills you up, War on Sugar is that bar.
They've got great flavors like lemon blueberry, peanut butter pistachio, and chocolate peanut butter crunch.
Seriously, guys, I highly recommend it. Just go to waronsugar.com and use code ICED10 for 10% off your first box. Once again, that is waronsugar.com. ICED10 is the code for 10% off your first box. I have a problem. When I eat, I spike and I crash and I cannot focus. I do not suffer that with War on Sugar bars, so I highly recommend it. Thank you so much to War on Sugar for sponsoring this clip.